Welcome back to the Dinar Daily. Today, we are diving deep into a developing story that is being characterized by observers on the ground as one of the most significant moments in recent Iraqi history. An urgent update has emerged from within the region, carrying with it a mixture of stern warnings and unexpected developments that could fundamentally alter the economic trajectory of the nation. We are hearing reports that major voices within the sphere of international finance are signaling that Iraq has arrived at a definitive crossroads. This is not merely a routine adjustment in policy. Rather, it is viewed as a decisive moment where the nation is facing immense pressure to transition its monetary system into a new era of modernization. However, alongside this pressure comes a palpable fear that a failure to execute these decisions with precision could cause the country to regress into the kind of financial complications that citizens and leaders alike are desperate to leave in the past. The atmosphere in Baghdad has reportedly intensified following news of an expected visit from a high-level envoy representing the United States. This diplomatic mission is said to be carrying a special message directly from Washington, a development that has sent shockwaves through both political corridors and banking circles. While the specific contents of this message are being discussed behind closed doors, insiders suggest it touches upon the critical pillars of reform, global cooperation, and the future valuation of the national currency. The overarching question that is currently dominating these high-stakes discussions is regarding which specific path Iraq will choose to take. The options appear stark: a bold move forward into global confidence and systemic modernization, or a slip backward into the confusion and administrative delays that have hampered progress for so long. The intensity of this narrative is growing by the hour as stakeholders await the outcome of these meetings. For years, the story of Iraq's monetary reform has been unfolding at a pace that many have described as agonizingly slow. Step by step, the Central Bank of Iraq has maintained a consistent public stance, asserting that their primary objective is to protect the nation's currency while working diligently toward meeting full international standards. This cautious approach is often contrasted with the heated debates occurring among experts around the world, who continue to argue about what the final result of these reforms will actually look like. While the official institutions preach steady progress, various analysts and advisors operating outside the government system often share opposing viewpoints. This disconnect has created a complex environment where the general public is left trying to decipher what constitutes tangible reality versus what might be misleading speculation regarding the nation's economic future. Within the financial analysis community, there is a distinct split in opinion regarding the potential trajectory of the Iraqi dinar. Some observers claim that the currency is poised to strengthen organically over time as the country succeeds in stabilizing its economy and implementing stricter controls on corruption. These voices suggest that value creates value, and as the fundamentals improve, the currency should reflect that reality. Conversely, other analysts argue that any major changes, specifically dramatic increases in value, would be fraught with risk. Financial officials within Iraq have repeatedly insisted that reforms are being implemented carefully rather than suddenly. Their argument is rooted in the belief that one wrong move in the delicate world of monetary policy could trigger chaos in the markets, undermining the very stability they are trying to build. Currently, the primary focus of Iraq's financial leadership appears to be centered on three main pillars: building trust, increasing transparency, and technically improving the banking sector. However, because this transformation is still a work in progress, it requires a significant amount of patience from the populace and investors alike. It is undeniably a slow process, and the duration of this undertaking creates a natural vacuum that is often filled with suspense and speculation. The government is attempting to manage expectations by emphasizing that a solid foundation must be built before any towering economic structures can be erected. This involves updating antiquated systems, training personnel, and ensuring that digital infrastructure is capable of handling the demands of a modern, globally connected economy. A critical warning has surfaced from Iraq's international partners, and it is a message that is being delivered with absolute clarity. Weapons and political factionalism must be completely separated from the country's economic machinery. This advice serves as a stark signal that internal conflicts and power struggles have the potential to derail progress if they are not brought under control. The international consensus is simple and uncompromising. If Iraq desires global investment, secure banking institutions, and a currency that garners respect over time, political influence must not interfere with monetary policy. The separation of state politics from central banking operations is a standard requirement for any nation seeking to be taken seriously in the global financial ecosystem. Advisors close to the situation say that Iraq is being urged to choose the path of strong legal institutions. It is these institutions that enforce order, attract foreign companies, and ultimately build trust with wary investors. Without the stability provided by the rule of law, Iraq risks falling back into a cycle of uncertainty where projects are delayed and progress is stalled. The global economy today operates at a breakneck speed, and hesitation can cost a developing nation billions of dollars in lost opportunities. Many experts believe that the current push from Washington, combined with a noticeable increase in investor interest, means that the window for making mistakes has closed. The consensus is that Iraq must act now to solidify its legal frameworks to ensure capital feels safe entering the country. There has also been significant discussion recently comparing Iraq's current situation to the monetary experience of Kuwait several decades ago. These historical comparisons are being used to remind Iraqi leadership not to repeat the missteps of the past. The prevailing message is that rebuilding and adjusting a national currency is a task that must be done strategically and never rushed. Kuwait's financial recovery was the result of careful planning, patience, and extensive international cooperation. Iraq is being advised to follow a similar blueprint, one that avoids the pitfalls of hyperinflation, protects the hard-earned savings of its citizens, and supports sustainable economic growth rather than looking for a quick, artificial fix. Global partners appear fully prepared to assist Iraq in this massive undertaking, but their support comes with a condition. Iraq must continue to show steady progress and a genuine commitment to honest reform. This partnership is reciprocal. The international community provides expertise and credibility, while Iraq must provide transparency and stability. Meanwhile, commentators outside the government continue to disagree openly with one another regarding the technicalities of the currency. Some insist that the exchange rate seen on bank screens is merely a nominal rate and does not reflect the true value inside the domestic economy. These voices warn citizens not to assume that policy changes will automatically translate into instant wealth, emphasizing the complexity of sovereign economics. One of the most persistent topics of debate involves the potential for redenomination, often referred to as the deletion of zeros. Experts warn that if this policy is ever approved, it would likely be a measure to simplify the currency by removing zeros from the notes to make transactions easier. They argue vehemently that this is an accounting procedure, not a lottery ticket. The key message they try to deliver to the public is grounded in realism. Currency reform is a mathematical and logistical process, not magic. It involves adjusting the money supply and the face value of notes to streamline commerce, but it does not inherently create new value without underlying economic growth. However, another group of analysts strongly disagrees with this conservative view, arguing that Iraq's financial math already signals future adjustments that could be more significant. They speak about internal accounting systems that utilize different figures than the public exchange rate, suggesting that these shadow numbers indicate the currency could eventually reflect a much stronger economic position. Their argument rests on the idea that a developing country like Iraq, blessed with massive natural resources, significant gold reserves, and expanding investment, should not remain locked to a low valuation forever. They encourage observers to believe that Iraq is preparing to use big numbers in its monetary reporting, hinting at a latent strength that has yet to be unleashed. Despite these optimistic interpretations, it is crucial to note that none of these comments represent official announcements. They remain in the realm of interpretation, prediction, and hope, rather than confirmed policy. When analysts discuss the money supply, a serious concern arises regarding the sheer volume of currency in existence. Billions upon billions of dinars remain in circulation inside Iraq. Experts warn that if any dramatic change in value were forced too quickly, the government could face immense financial strain trying to cover those obligations. This liquidity issue is a primary reason why many economists support a path of patient progress rather than shock therapy. The argument for patience posits that Iraq must be allowed to grow its private sector, increase its non-oil exports, and level the playing field in the banking system before making any explosive moves with currency value. A currency is ultimately a reflection of the economy it serves. Therefore, the economy must be robust enough to support a higher valuation. The Iraqi government itself maintains a careful, measured tone, stating that progress continues without promising anything specific or sudden. With such high stakes involved, they argue that a safe and smart timeline is necessary to prevent the kind of economic turbulence that could hurt the most vulnerable citizens. Turning back to the diplomatic front, the news of the U.S. envoy's visit has heightened tensions and expectations. Reports claim that major political and economic topics will be addressed during this visit, with the direct message from Washington expected to set new parameters for the relationship. This message may include new expectations for reform, specific demands for stronger anti-corruption enforcement, and a push to finalize lingering policy changes that investors have waited years to see. The involvement of such high-level diplomatic channels suggests that the timeline for these reforms is becoming a priority for Iraq's strategic allies as well. Many observers believe that the United States wants Iraq to fully integrate into the international financial system. But this integration is contingent upon Iraq clearly choosing a path of independence, lawful governance, and transparency. Statements circulating from political figures suggest that actions are coming, moving beyond mere rhetoric. This increase in urgency signals that both the U.S. and Iraq may be ready to make the hard decisions that will shape the country's financial landscape for the long term. The goal is to move Iraq from a cash-based, isolated economy to one that is digitally connected and compliant with global standards. If Iraq accelerates its banking modernization, meets global compliance requirements, and improves coordination with international financial institutions, the economic payoff could be substantial. Foreign investors may increase their involvement rapidly, which could generate jobs, fund massive infrastructure projects, and create greater societal stability. Conversely, if Iraq delays these necessary steps or allows internal conflicts to interfere, investment confidence could disappear quickly. Capital is cowardly. It flees from uncertainty. Therefore, the pressure is on Baghdad to prove that it is a safe harbor for long-term international capital. The United States is reportedly pushing Iraq to finalize important laws and enforcement systems, especially those related to banking, currency exchange, and corruption prevention. These legislative changes are not merely bureaucratic formalities. They are the essential keys needed for Iraq to be fully trusted by international banks, financial regulators, and world markets. Without these measures in place, Iraq's development will slow, and the dinar will remain limited in its global usage. The modernization of laws regarding anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing is particularly critical for reintegrating Iraqi banks into the global SWIFT system and other correspondent banking networks. With pressure rising, Iraq's leaders face a binary choice between modernization or lingering in uncertainty. This decision will not only affect government officials, but will also have a profound impact on ordinary citizens who desire stronger purchasing power and reliable savings. Economic advisors inside Iraq argue that the work already completed shows that a major leap forward is possible. They point to the implementation of new technology, improved monitoring of financial transactions, and closer cooperation with respected global partners as evidence that the foundation is being laid. They argue that Iraq is closer to monetary reform than most people realize, despite the outward appearance of slow movement. The logic presented by these internal advisors is simple. Nobody pushes this hard, diplomatically and financially, unless something meaningful is on the horizon. However, government officials remain tight-lipped on exact outcomes, suggesting that discretion is a vital part of their strategy. Silence in this context may be a mechanism to protect future plans until the environment is fully secure. If sensitive economic strategies were leaked prematurely, it could lead to market manipulation or political sabotage. Therefore, the lack of specific announcements should not necessarily be interpreted as a lack of activity. Even more dramatic financial news is emerging regarding the broader economy. Iraq is reportedly entering one of the largest investment booms in its history, driven by infrastructure expansion, energy projects, and foreign interest from multiple continents. When investment flows into a country, the demand for its currency generally rises, which can eventually strengthen its value. But only if reforms continue without disruption. Countries that attract major investment flows are seen as financially secure, which improves the reputation of their currency internationally. Iraq's goal is to build a modern, competitive economy, and that requires both foreign confidence and internal discipline. This is where the suspense becomes intense for observers. The final stage of monetary reform is often the most secretive. Officials tend to reduce communication, avoid giving direct answers, and sometimes even release ambiguous statements to protect the integrity of the reform process. This strategy is used globally by central banks, not just in Iraq, to prevent speculation spikes and illegal market manipulation. One day, the public may hear that major changes are imminent. The next day, officials might declare that everything is stable and no adjustments are planned. This fog of war regarding finance is designed to hide the truth until the correct moment for implementation arrives. Financial observers warn citizens not to react impulsively to rumors or rush to believe promises found online. They emphasize that the truth will eventually come from official announcements, not from speculation channels. For now, the public is advised to remain patient and watch carefully for real signs of progress. These signs include new banking regulations, the rollout of digital payment systems, signed international trade agreements, and successful audits of state institutions. These are the tangible clues that show genuine progress is being made, distinct from the noise of the rumor mill. It is widely understood that currency changes, if they ever come, would only follow after these structural reforms are complete and fully tested. There are no shortcuts in this process, and no instant miracles should be expected. Patience is described as a component of smart planning. Iraq must now demonstrate strength in governance while keeping political friction under control. This is a decisive test for the nation's leadership. If economic strategies move forward smoothly, confidence will continue to grow, and major world powers may expand their partnerships in Iraq, leading to a virtuous cycle of growth and stability. However, the future is not guaranteed. It must be earned through stable leadership and responsible decision-making. This is why the arrival of the U.S. envoy carries so much weight. Global powers are watching closely. They want Iraq to succeed, but the direction Iraq chooses will determine what kind of support continues. The message being carried by the envoy could pressure decision makers to move faster, force reforms harder, and complete the financial transition sooner. Timing matters immensely because the world economy changes every day, and opportunities do not wait forever. Ultimately, this moment in Iraq's history is being described as a turning point, a decision between progress and setback. The choice is not only economic, it is about the future identity of the nation. Will Iraq be known as a stable global economy respected worldwide, or will challenges hold it back again? The visit from Washington could be the catalyst that pushes the government to finalize reforms that have been pending for years. The world expects Iraq to prove that it can lead its own financial destiny confidentially and responsibly. Monetary reform is about restoring national pride, building trust, and creating opportunity for every Iraqi citizen, from parents wanting to save securely to young people seeking jobs. As we continue to monitor these unfolding events, it is clear that every reform and negotiation happening today is building the foundation for Iraq's financial future.